Good morning, and again, welcome for those that have been on before when I touched base here a few minutes ago. For those of you that you have just entered, welcome to the Blue Vantage Model Year 26 review and summary of changes for the Blue Vantage display. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Brad Neenstead, product specialist here at Kinze, and going to spend time with you today walking over and talking about 26 changes, some of the new items that have come with it. We'll talk about some cloud-based activity. And then, of course, majority of the time will be spent walking through the display and, again, giving you a refresher for those of you that have been Blue Vantage customers before, or those that are new. Obviously, everything's new for you today. So going to spend majority of that time walking through the display, again, getting you a refresher. As always, with any of our webinars, on the right-hand side of your screen is our chat window. Again, as we're going through the presentation today, if you have any questions on anything, please feel free to type those in there. Zach, the man behind the camera, will be helping me out to help make sure we get those questions answered before you guys leave, all right, or before we wrap up today. So we'll go ahead and get started and just spend a little bit of time talking about, again, the changes for model year 26. So some of these are a little bit of a review for model year 25, but again, felt important to, again, re-highlight them as a whole. So kind of the layout of the day, as I've kind of talked about already, go through feature review, what's new, changes for model year 26, Blue Connect updates. There's several changes there for our cloud-to-cloud based data system. And then, as always, spend a lot of time going through the display and walking through it. One of the items, again, this isn't a new feature, but just wanted to highlight it. Again, kind of the core piece of Blue Vantage is that there is no unlock codes and no hidden fees to utilize any features on the Blue Vantage display. So the remote support feature, the ability for your dealer or your son or your neighbor, whoever, can log in to your display and see what you see and help walk you through issues, questions, etc. on the tablet. It doesn't require any cost other than a Wi-Fi hotspot in the tractor cab, so you can certainly take your cell phone, connect the tablet to the Wi-Fi, and again, utilize the remote support feature. This has been, again, available for several years. This isn't anything new, but just felt I wanted to highlight it again as a reminder. The only really requirement, again, you can see that second bullet point, is that it requires you to set up a Blue Connect account. That, again, is a free account. You can do it either through the tablet or through the online web location, and we'll talk about that as we get through the presentation today. So, again, just another feature I wanted to highlight. Again, one of the good benefits that doesn't require anything else from you from a cost standpoint. This one, again, what we've called our Replant feature. This was actually introduced last year with our software update for this past planting season, but we call it Replant, and really it boils down to the ability to replant an area that is mapped as red in the field. So if you look at the picture and the red arrow here, you can see the two kind of long red stripes here after this white block in the field. So this could be, we ran out of seed, something happened to a meter, something got in the meter and stopped it from, of course, planting. Your lower threshold, in this case, is 70% of the target rate. Anything under that, you get an alert that says low seed, and then, of course, it maps it red on the map. Previously, it was a little bit cumbersome to try and replant and fix that mistake or error in the field. Now, with the new feature, you simply have to drive right over top of those rows, and the system will automatically turn on and turn off to cover in only those red streaks in the field. So the whole planter is not going to come on, just the rows that drive right over top of that area. So again, if I was, we fix the issue, whatever it may be, we put seed in the planter, we come back around, we just simply drive right over top of it. You don't have to do anything. The system's going to automatically turn on. Your map will, of course, turn green as you plant over that area, and it's filled in. And then there's no longer a gap or a low population zone there. One thing to note on the replant feature, Okay, as I talked about, it maps red by default anything under 70% of your target population. So for easy, quick math, if I'm planting 30,000 population, and let's say I was still applying 15,000 seeds an acre, so I was half of my target. When we come back through to replant and cover in that zone, we will plant whatever the full rate target was. So again, if our target rate was 30,000, it's going to plant 30,000 when we come back over top of that red streak in the field. So if again you had approximately 15,000 seeds there, or 15 seeds in that section of the field, we would add another 30 on top of it. So it might be a little heavier in those areas, again, depending on what the population was in that red zone, but nonetheless, there will be no blank spot in the field as a whole. So again, something that was introduced last year, just wanted to highlight it again because it was a big request from you guys in the field on how to make that easier. And again, the solution is here, so we appreciate that feedback. Another feature that was actually brought up earlier, and again, I'll credit our electronics team in North Liberty here that, of course, does all the behind-the-scenes work and the display work for us on Blue Vantage, is the field scouting feature. So the ability to literally take the tablet out of the dock, go out to the field with it, and walk around the field to maybe problem areas or items that you've seen that required maybe high hydraulic downforce pressures and those type of things. So you can identify what's going on in the field. The picture on the screen there in the blue dot basically is you walking around utilizing the GPS that's already in the tablet. So when you update to model year 26, this feature is already active. All right, it automatically turns on whether you use it or not. Just wanted to show you what that looks like. Again, we'll take a look at it once we get into the display a little bit also. Other enhancements, and we're going to talk about these as we walk through the display itself, but we now give you the ability to adjust the layout a little more and provide more information on the screen as well. So what we call our widgets or layout boxes of information, we've added more ability to easily adjust them, and secondly, added more to it. Again, so more information can be displayed and you can customize the screen. And again, we'll talk about that as we walk through the display layout. Another thing we added, again, the ability to see the amount of seeds needed by RX. So we look at your RX file and we say, hey, you need 200 pounds of seed or whatever it may be. That way you know how much to load in the planter if you're, again, changing hybrids a lot. Or secondly, just do you have enough in the tank to, again, finish that field. So we've added that in there. We'll see that today. And then we also added kind of a nice to have feature or an alert for duplicate field names. So if you entered the same name twice, or if you selected the same field twice, it would alert you and says, hey, do you know you selected the same field again? Just again prevents some headache and really kind of unnecessary cleanup once you get into desktop software and again managing that data at the end of spring, getting into the fall season. So again, just an extra alert to help with that confusion. Some other enhancements directly related to our Blue Connect account. So the web-based or cloud-based data management system. Of course, we introduced John Deere Operations Center integration with taking our data from the tablet and, of course, auto-syncing it to your John Deere Operations Center through a Blue Connect account. So that was available last year. Some more features were added for this season, and you can see at the bottom there, the new ones are the ability to pull grower, farm, field, and product information from JD Ops and pull it into the Blue Vantage display. So again, updating to the newer generation software. If your John Deere Operations Center account is connected, we will automatically go out and look for what products you have in there. Again, grower, farm, and field names, all those type of things, and we will automatically load it into the tablet itself. Again, specific videos on how to link those and those type of things are on our YouTube channel. It's very simple, very easy, so you can reference that. But again, just added more features, help a little more with that data management piece, especially with that grower, farm, field, and products coming from John Deere Ops. Ag Leader, Agfinity, really no changes here for model year 26. Again, same story as we've had last year. You can connect your Blue Connect account from your Blue Vantage tablet to your Agfinity account, and any of your log data will get sent to, again, your Agfinity account. So it'll already be in Agfinity and SMS and all those type of things already without the need to use USB. They have not added the feature to pull grower, farm, and field. And I really forgot to mention on John Deere Operations Center, but the same on Agfinity, is we're unable to pull boundaries or prescriptions yet from them either. So we're just waiting for them to kind of open that door to allow us to do that. We're ready to go whenever it becomes available. But right now, boundaries and prescriptions will still be moved via USB into the tablet. CNH Field Ops, we kind of got a little bit of features out of them for this year. We're unable to send log data. So again, as you're planting, that data sent directly to your CNH Field Ops account. They have not, again, opened the door, if you will, as I mentioned earlier, to allow that data to flow. But we do have the ability to sync to CNH Field Ops to be able to pull grower, farm, field, and product information to your Blue Vantage display. So if you're using Field Ops now, again, sync those accounts. It will pull that data into the Blue Vantage display. So it's already there. Climate Field View, again, we still support the Cab View app and the Bluetooth dongle and all those type of things. That hasn't changed. You know, that's been available for several years. The kit to connect the dongle and all those type of things are purchased directly through Ag Express. That's who Climate uses as their vendor for the cabling and all those type of things. There's no setup required on the Blue Vantage display. You plug in the cabling, do all the configuration on the iPad. Right now, there's no ability to send the data to Climate via cloud-to-cloud database system. So if you're not using the Bluetooth connection point and the Cab View app, currently, if you want to utilize your data in Climate, you have to utilize it via USB for right now. So again, same story, waiting for them to open the door. We're ready to go whenever they increase or add that feature to their mix. So not a whole lot of changes on the Climate side either. So kind of a quick summary of Blue Connect. One thing I want to talk about specifically related to Blue Connect before we go to the Kinze side of things is on our website to get to Blue Connect. This is one of the locations. If you go to Kinze.com, in the upper right corner is the Blue Connect button to log in. So if you press on Blue Connect, I'm already logged in already, but again, enter a username and password, no different than any other login system as far as that goes. A couple things I want to show you on here to get to screen share. And again, you can utilize screen share off of a tablet, a desktop, your phone in order to see what's going on a display. But this is where you could log in to screen share from a remote source. The big item, though, is under that Manage selection on the left-hand side. If you press on Manage, no different than the Manage icon in the Blue Vantage display, you see there's a box here that says Boundaries and Prescriptions. What this allows you to do is, if your agronomist or somebody else is making prescription files for you, they can log into your Blue Connect account and upload your prescriptions and boundaries to this location, and it will automatically sync to your tablet through your Blue Connect system. So save the headache of having to use a USB, or maybe your guy's farther away, or maybe you made changes to the prescription later. He can upload it here. And again, you turn the Blue Connect feature on in Blue Vantage. As long as you're connected to Wi-Fi, it will automatically pull those features into your Blue Vantage display. So just make you aware of that. That is a change for this year. Again, help reduce the need of USB, and again, help your agronomist if he's helping you out make those prescriptions, make it easier for you to get them as well. Okay, so just wanted to show that again on Kinze.com. All right, so let's transition to the display as a whole and start walking through the tablet itself. So, a couple things before we start. The background picture that you have, if some of you guys are utilizing your tablets at home and following along, that's great. Make sure your background screen looks like what you see on my screen. All right, so this is the model year 26 version. You can see in the lower left corner down here where it says model year 26, make sure it says that. If yours is not up to date yet, Kinze.com, under resources and firmware, that's where you'll find the software to do it. It is, of course, free as always. There's also the ability to connect the tablet to Wi-Fi, and it will automatically search for the login as well, or the update. Sorry, not the login. The update, and you can do it wirelessly also, so you don't have to use a USB. The update, again, takes a matter of 2 or 3 minutes to do it, and you're already ready to rock and roll. So if you don't have 26 already, some of the things we go through today might be slightly different if you're using or looking at last year's software version as a whole. Okay. Again, one of the nice parts about Blue Vantage is the fact that there is a built-in training mode built into the display itself. So kind of going to walk through turning that on. And again, those of you that are following along can walk through it. So on the Blue Vantage display, if we go into settings, we press on settings, come over here to the left-hand side where it says training mode. We're going to click on training mode, and then in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see where we can turn training mode on. So we're going to press on that, turn training mode on. It's going to come to this page. We're going to leave our planter model as front fold for today. So if you are using a pivot fold machine, you can certainly change it in training mode so it truly is like yours at home. We're going to leave GPS playback on, and then we're going to hit the checkbox here to accept it, and it's going to take us back to the home screen. In the training mode box, all right, to kind of, again, make this simpler, under where it says toolbar, we're going to go press down for toolbar. And then in the upper left-hand corner up there, you have a little, kind of looks like a little V trench. We're going to tap on that box, and it's going to shrink that out of the way. All right. So we're in training mode. We can see our planner status bar at the very top of the screen. The function of that bar is really when you turn your PTO on or the alternator comes on, it really does a planter health check. All right, and it'll make sure everything is ready to go. The other note you'll see in the lower right-hand corner is there is 4 camera boxes at the bottom. So the training mode by default puts basically every option under the sun on the planter to look at, review, etc. So again, if your planter doesn't have these options, because again, we show it as a fully loaded unit, those just wouldn't be there, and the boxes would be smaller. Okay, so we're going to start kind of walking through a review of how we get to the plant screen and all those type of things. And this top status bar really just points you over to plant. So if we go into plant, we come up with this task setup page. So those of you that are online, if you've gone into training mode before and you don't have this task setup page, but you have a task list, in the lower left corner, there is a plus button that says add. If you press the plus, you will come to this same task setup page that we are now. So just a caveat, if you've been into training mode before and have other fields, it would come to that screen. At the very top, of course, is our grower, farm, and field selection. We're not going to walk through how to type names and select names. That's very straightforward, but that's where you would select your grower, farm, and field. I really want to spend time walking through the boxes below. And again, this is a fully loaded machine. So for example, you can see that we have dual product fertilizer on this unit. Again, if you don't have fertilizer or only have a single product, that it's definitely going to be different, and you would only have one option. So we're going to start at the top under our products where our corn selection is. If we press on that location, it takes us to our products tab. You can see we are selected on corn under the crop and disc. Of course, if we want to change the crop, if we wanted to plant soybeans, we simply press on that crop box and it brings up the crop selector. All right, so if we're changing to soybeans, we simply press on soybeans and then we select which cell disc we're using in our case. This one is equipped with true speed meters, so these are of course the two true speed meter options for soybeans. So I'm just going to select 46 cell, and you can see we've now changed to soybeans. This case, though, I want to stay on corn. So again, I'm going to hit my crop and disc. I'm going to select corn. And we now have our product list. So this is one of the locations that you can enter hybrids in here. There are others. I'll show you that as we get towards the end of the presentation. In the lower left-hand corner, though, where it says Manage, if we want to add one to the list, we simply press Manage. It brings up, of course, seed, fertilizer, and insecticide. We're just going to work on seed. We're going to press Add to add one to the list. And then we simply, of course, type in our hybrid name. So we type in the name that we want it to be. Once we type in your name and you hit the checkbox in the upper right corner, it then takes us to a seeds per pound entry. We always provide a default seeds per pound. This isn't a critical piece of information to go plant, but what we really utilize the seeds per pound information for is your bulk fill scale. Bulk fill scales to let you know how many acres to empty you have left based on your seed tank weight. So if you know it, you can certainly put it in here. You can, of course, change it later, etc. So we're going to leave it alone for now, but just wanted to highlight what that is. We hit our checkbox here, and now we can see we have our product on the list. We're just going to put one in here for today. If we go up here and hit the checkbox in the upper right corner, right, we then come back to our seed list, and you can see we have just the one we entered in. As you'll notice, you of course have two columns, one for the left tank, one for the right tank. So if I'm doing a split planter application, I'm going to put this product in the left tank, and my situation name is pricey. And the right tank, I'm just going to leave it as unspecified, just a generic name. So again, that's how you would select a split planter. If it was the same product, you naturally are going to select both of them in each tank. So I'm going to leave this as split. So hybrid entry, crop selection. I want to touch on the fertilizer box here real quick. This one, again, is looking at a 5000 series planter configuration, something that we added, again, with the new introduction of 5000 series and the liquid fertilizer and all those type of things. We have this interactive chart piece right here. So if we go under the chart, this is an interactive rate chart that helps you decide what orifice you need for the parameters that you're running. So let's say, for example, my fertilizer rate is 5 to 7 miles an hour, and my travel speed is 4.5 to 8 miles an hour. In order to achieve those application rates at these speeds, you see that we recommend you utilize a 41 thousandths orifice at the row. The other item too is you come over here, you can see the different colors in the lines. We see that 41 is blue. That is referencing what strainer should be at the row unit as well. So we try to make it easy to know how to set up the configuration for fertilizer. So again, you get the best performance out of it when you're in the field. So I'll go down here, and we're just going to X out of this guy and go back. Okay. Again, you can enter in your fertilizer name, turn the product on off here, as well as change your fertilizer rate. We hit the checkbox in the upper right corner. It takes you back to task setup. So kind of walk through the products box here. Before we go on, again, I know we've added some more onto the webinar since we got started. Just again, a note, welcome for those that are new or just joined. The other item again, just to highlight under that chat window on the right-hand side, is you guys have questions as I'm going through something, or if you need something explained more, by all means, type it in the chat. The man behind the camera, Zach, will help me out and make sure we get those questions answered as we walk through the presentation today.
I have one question.
Okay.
And before we really dive into things, we might as well get it answered quick.
Sure.
When you get to the different airflow design and the seed meters, I would like to know the extent of why the change of different airflow. Does it handle different seed sizes better, or why the change? I planted a lot of sweet corn and we had to modify the air vents in the seed meter so they wouldn't overfill the seed meter. Wondering if the new airflow design would help with this problem.
Yep, there was changes in airflow. Number one, to be more efficient. The other part is to support more crops. So, for example, I know we have sunflowers that are planted, of course, here in the U.S., but some of it was changes for supporting our European applications and different types of sunflowers over there. Of course, we plant wheat with it and sugar beets and all those other type of things. And I assume we're talking about high speed in this application. So yeah, it's trying to make it more efficient. Again, different crops, different parameters. Again, change the airflow and requirements. Sweet corn's a tough one because there's a whole lot of variables in sweet corn. It's an odd shaped one. And again, sometimes real light and fluffy. So yeah, it's kind of like planting edible beans. I know we don't have a lot of edible beans in the Midwest, but run into the same situation planting edible beans as all the variables. So again, we try and hit the core of it. I know we've worked with several guys to improve the sweet corn item, again, just from a venting standpoint. But yeah, that's why we helped. And hopefully we worked with you to again, improve those venting for that specific application. As a whole. A lot of variables in sweet corn, but again, trying to fit that meter to fit all the crops we support as a whole. So, no, good question.
Would it be worth trying one new meter?
So Jeff, I assume you're talking high speed and you're talking about the Style B version. There is more venting put in the Style B true speed meter. So yeah, I mean, it could be worth a shot. We can always do some testing here for you as well. So by all means, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to get some samples of seed. We can work with your dealer to get those back to us. And we can do some running here for you as well on the new meter and provide some feedback. So something we do fairly common, especially if it's a unique case like this. I'll be more than happy to help you out for sure. So that way you kind of know before purchasing anything. So yeah. Reach out to us at the end. Send us your information. You can certainly put us in the chat or email us. We'll get back to you, Jeff, and work with you and see how we can help. All right, so let's walk through, again, some more boxes. We'll come back to boundaries and prescriptions here in a second. I want to talk about the pressures box and the population box first. So if we go into pressures, again, this is where we're setting our vacuum level and our bulk fill levels. The nice part about the Blue Vantage display is, of course, it only runs Blue Vantage planters, all right, and it only runs a planter. So we know the size of the planter, the crop you're planting, etc., and we provide you the recommended starting points for vacuum and bulk fill based off of those parameters. Like always, all of Blue Vantage controlled fans are all closed loop control. So we provide or control the system. So for example, my vacuums are set at 15 inches. The system's going to automatically adjust to maintain those vacuum levels. All right, so you speed up the PTO, slow down the PTO, all those type of things will compensate for that to maintain consistent vacuum levels as you're driving through the field. Of course, in this case, this is where we set our downforce, and this planter is equipped with true depth hydraulic downforce. One of the big items I want to note here is this downforce setting on this page is setting the amount of gauge wheel load that we want the gauge wheels to carry, not the amount of downforce on the row unit. All right, so we're going to adjust that, right? We're going to put up to 650 pounds of downforce or take up to 150 pounds off the row unit to maintain this gauge wheel load. Okay, so this is gauge wheel load. I realize some in the marketplace call it margin, but at the end of the day, we're setting how much weight the wheels are carrying going through the field. I always recommend to start at the medium 150 pounds of sensed load when we're starting out in the season. And we're going to walk through making some adjustments to that once we get to the planting screen. But again, just wanted to highlight that number one, this is gauge wheel load. Number two, I would start at medium. Again, if it's your first time with it especially, start at medium, and then we will fine-tune it once we get to the field, because there's a lot of variables such as speed, obviously tillage conditions, all those factors come into making those adjustments, and we'll talk about that as we get into the planting screen. If I go back up here to the checkbox, we go back to our task setup. We then go down here to the population box. Of course, this is where you're going to set your population. We have hole selection, which of course the hole planter plants the same population. Again, turning compensation is standard equipment on any of our electric drive machines. So again, turning on a contour, the outside's going to speed up, the inside's going to slow down to, of course, maintain your consistent seed spacing. You can see we have 3 presets down here at the bottom. And again, if we wanted to change a preset to something else, so if I wanted to make it 32,000 as a factory preset, when I change it to 32, I go down to factory or preset populations, I press and hold, and you can see that it is now changed to 32,000. All right, so very simple to make those adjustments. In the middle, we go to split. Again, put a different population on each half the planter. The third one, by row. If you go to by row, you can change each row to have a different population, or of course, shut off a row for whatever reason as well. So a lot of options in the population standpoint. We go back to hole, hit our checkbox in the upper right corner. It takes us back to the task setup page. So if you're not using boundaries or prescriptions, really that's kind of the gist and summary of getting ready to go to the field and plant. I want to come back to boundaries and prescriptions to kind of walk through loading those and selecting them. So in order to do that, we're going to simply press on boundaries and prescriptions. In training mode, we only have one file for each feature. All right, so obviously it's pretty easy to interact and see which one we want to select. You can import it from this location as well. So again, putting your USB in, you can import files from this page. We can also do it from the Manage tab, and we'll talk about that once we get towards the end. You can see at the bottom lower left, there is a sort feature. So if you have a lot of boundary files, a lot of prescriptions, you can turn the sort feature on. And of course, it will sort by your GPS location, bring the closest ones to the top of the list. So in our case, we only have one. It's pretty simple. We're on our boundary selection. So in order to select it, we just simply click on it. You can see we have a checkbox next to boundary. We go down to Seed RX. Same thing, we only have one. I'm going to select this guy. And now we have a selection for boundary and prescription. As I've been going through and doing a lot of trainings here this spring, a lot of guys have asked, do I need a boundary in order to use a prescription file? And the answer is no. You can just load a prescription by yourself or by itself if you so choose. All right. So we have one selected. We're going to hit the checkbox. It takes us back to our task setup. You can see now it shows you the size of the boundary you're using. Shows you the seed prescription and how many pounds it's going to take to plant this field. So 113. You now see in the population box that it is different and says RX now. And if we go back into that box, you now have an RX tab and then 2 more population boxes. One is your GPS lost rate. So that would be if GPS is lost, the secondary speed source on the planter takes over. and plants this population. So in our case, it would be 34,000. If we go to out of Rx rate, that population, of course, is if your prescription map maybe is slightly smaller than the field you're actually planting. When you have rows go outside that prescription map, it's going to stop planting unless you enter in a rate here. All right, so it would continue to plant. You know, maybe those couple outside rows are not in the zone. This would allow them to continue to plant. The other item down here is RX adjustment. This is something we added a couple years ago. In the RX adjustment, if we come over here to the right-hand side and press edit, this allows you to adjust the prescription file after it is loaded. So, for example, we're at 100%. You can see the original column and the adjusted column. So let's say I want to turn it down a little bit. I can do it in 1% increments. So if I change it down, in my example, 94%, the adjusted population is down. And you can see your changed rates. When you come over here and hit the checkbox, it takes you back. It says 94% RX adjustment. If you want to look at what that will look like in the field before you ever go to the field, if you press on Show Map, it will show you the prescription map, the current or what the rate zones will be planted to with that adjustment. So it gives you a preview of what will happen before you ever go to the field as well. If you go back over here, hit the checkbox once.
Hey, Brad.
It'll take you back to, yeah.
Question from Jake. GPS lost and out of RX must be entered in each field?
So, Jake, the GPS lost rate is always defaulted to 34,000. Okay, so that's always on. Your out of RX rate defaults to 0, but once you change it, so for example, if I go in and I say, hey, I want my out of RX rate to be 33,000, once you set that, that is saved for all of your RXs going forward. Okay, so kind of treat it like it's brand new out of the box. We default it to 0. Once you change it, it stays there for life until you really completely wipe the tablet clean. So only have to do it one time. It'll then cover all of your RXs. If I hit the checkbox here to accept my changes, I come back to task setup. You'll notice that the RX at 94% is highlighted in my population box to again remind you that the RX is at 94% of what it actually was when it was imported. Okay. So kind of a roundabout, long-winded answer or explanation of the task setup page. Again, go into detail on each box once you start a new field. Obviously, it's going to be a lot quicker, and we'll walk through that as well. So really, we're ready to go to the field and plant. Okay. So in order to do that, we just simply hit the plant button. The first time you plant, it's going to ask you, hey, did you install the corn disc? Or if you changed fertilizer orifices, did you change the orifice? Kind of as a reminder to ensure that you have everything ready to go. Once you hit yes, go plant, it's going to take you to the plant screen. Okay. So again, Blue Vantage is a Dell ruggedized tablet. So if you use one finger on the map, it allows you to move the map. If you use two fingers, it allows you to pinch and zoom. Okay. Every map or the mapping behind the planner is all row by row mapping. So each row is mapped individually. And of course, you have your bar graph at the top giving you row by row information as well. You can see this map layer we're on. If I move this down just a little bit. Kind of seeing. We are in our population map. It's a percent to target map, so you can see our legend down here in the lower left-hand corner. If we want to change the map layer we're looking at, in the upper right-hand corner is our map selector. We tap that once, and again, it shows all of the map layers that we can see. Again, this one is loaded with all the options. All right, so If you didn't have fertilizer, you of course wouldn't have those options to select. In my case, I want to look at my singulation layer to see how the meter is performing. If I press on singulation, it now changes this to a singulation map, singulation bar graph. Of course, you have average singulation up here once he comes back in the field and starts planting. And then, of course, the legend is adjusted in the lower left corner as well. If we work our way down the right-hand side, we have our row detail box, right? That, again, gives you all the information on a per row basis. You can see it's selected on scan right now, so it's just rolling through the rows. We can, of course, press hold, and it will stop on the row up here. Also, you can tap on a row up here, and it will snap to that row as well. Right? Again, you can see it's hold, and you can see kind of the faint arrows in the back. If you press on those, you can move through the rows on the top as well. Below that is our products box. Again, you can see the rate for corn, rate for fertilizer, rate for insecticide. These are all active boxes over here. So for example, if I press on my corn icon here, this is where I can come in and quickly change my hybrid in the middle of the field. Okay, so I started out with pricey and unspecified. Maybe I'm going to switch it and go unspecified in the left tank, pricey in the right tank. Once I've made that change, hit the checkbox once, and your product is changed. Okay, so these are active windows here. The one below that, active window, bulk fill, vacuum, downforce. We tap on this box, it takes us to the same pressures page that we saw earlier. All right, so if we want to adjust our vacuum up here. You always have to hit the checkbox to accept the changes. So you can see it's still at 15 right now. Once I hit the checkbox, it will then change to 17. Okay, so the checkbox is required to, again, give you or confirm your changes. Right below that, again, markers is our marker selector. So again, to activate the markers, for example, I want the left one out. I'm highlighting the left. Operate your hydraulic remote. The left marker goes out. So again, active windows here. At the bottom of the page, you have this little chevron icon here. If you press on this little chevron, it opens up this sidebar, and this allows you to make these active boxes bigger if you so choose. So for example, let's say I'm using markers a lot on my outside round. I want them to be easier to hit, bigger buttons. Hit on the expander next to it. It will then make the boxes bigger, or the hit target bigger, I should say. Okay. Back. If I want my pressures bigger, now my pressures are bigger. Okay. So again, that's what the chevron does. We come over here to the left-hand side. Again, it's our legend down here in the lower left. Right above that is acres and miles per hour. If we tap on that, that of course gives us our bulk fill scale information. Excuse me, information. Gives you your weight in each tank, acres to empty. Again, if you're running a prescription, how much of the prescription you have left, etc. You also see on this page, again, a feature we've added for this season is the ability to see your tank level of your fertilizer tank on the planter. So you can see how many gallons are in the tank, how many acres you have left based on that fertilizer rate, etc. Shows up with the new tank level sensors as well. Okay. But we tap on that box, it simply goes away. Okay. If we keep working our way to the top, we have two tabs at the top. One is a shutoff box. One is a cleaners box. So the shutoff tab allows you to manually shut off sections. Again, GPS controlled through Blue Vantage. They are GPS controlled. It's row by row control. So single row shutoff. This is just to manually shut them off for maybe a waterway or something that isn't mapped on your boundary or whatever it may be. You can simply tap on these sections to shut it off. Okay, and then again, manually turn them back on. Below that, in the shutoffs tab, there's a couple other selectors. There's a boundary file, again, which is the ability to ignore or use it. So this example here, my icon's driving north on this boundary. All right, let's say your boundary here isn't very good and the outside rows are shutting off. You can simply press ignore, and you can see that the boundary has changed to a dashed line instead of a thick black line. That would basically say, hey, I'm going to shut off the boundary and not use it, but section control would still work. Okay, so that's what the boundary file use and ignore is. I use this all the time at home because we have several fields that, you know, we changed or moved the fence row. Now it's different, haven't made a new boundary yet. I can simply ignore it, drive my first pass, and then come back here and turn it back on. And you can see everything is now dark black and, of course, active for section control. Of course, the next one over, section control, you just have auto and off. That, of course, turns the automatic portion off for section control.
Are you able to shut off just one row?
Currently, no. Manually, there's no way to shut off a single row. The smallest sections we get are 4, like we see here.
And then another quick question going back to the camera setup. Jeff says I put a camera in each seed bulk box. They don't work so well after it gets dark. Do you have a better quality camera we could install?
Currently, Jeff, we do not. It's the same one today that we've offered for several years. But I can understand how it would be dark and probably a little harder to see in there with no extra backlight, especially in a gray tank as a whole. But no, we unfortunately don't have any other ones. Still use the same ones today for our backup and auxiliary camera piece. So we talked about shutoffs. If we go to cleaners, if you have air adjust row cleaners, you will have a cleaners tab here. You again can see the preset values here. So light, medium, and heavy. Again, how aggressive that those residue wheels are. And again, you can adjust those pressures to whatever you so choose to fine tune them. But again, there's the presets in there. Anytime you see a pencil icon, that's where you can go to and again, manually adjust and fine tune the pressures. If I hit my cleaners tab up once, again, it shrinks it out of the way. So kind of a layout of single screen mode, kind of your active boxes over here, information on the left-hand side. So again, something we added last year is the ability to have a split screen mode. So if you go up here in the upper right corner where it says plant, you press plant once, it now switches you to split screen mode. Same information as dual screen or single screen. We took the bar on the right-hand side and basically swung that information to the top of the screen. We have the bar graph at the bottom now, and of course, 2 maps to look at. You can choose which map or what information on each map you want. So for example, I'm on singulation on the right-hand side. I have ground contact for hydraulic downforce on the left-hand side. To me, this is my most common one, how I run it in the field, singulation on the right, ground contact on the left. If I wanted to change this to another window or another screen, it's the same style box as a single screen mode. We're going to press on this once. And I want to look at actual population. I'm going to select that. It now turns it into actual population. And of course, my ground contact map has stayed the same. You'll notice that there is 2 different zoom levels you can have by map. So of course, this one on the right is zoomed out farther. This one is zoomed in farther. So again, truly pick and choose what you want to view. The bottom tab here for the 2 bar graphs, the one or wherever the dark highlighted bar graph is the map bar graph that's at the bottom. So for example, the bar graph now is referencing the map on the right. If I hit the switcher, it now says bar graph showing left map info. So this one is showing, in our case, ground contact bar graph information up here. Okay. So again, just provides you more information, ability to see more things.
On the right, so it isn't rotating as I make turns, basically keeping north up.
Yep, you betcha. And we can go and do that setting right now. So in order to keep it north up, you're going to go over here to settings in the lower right corner. You're going to come over here to the left-hand side where it says Blue Vantage. On this mode, find my spot. There we go. At the very top, map orientation, select north up. Again, you only have to select it once. Go back to plant, and now it will stay north up. Back to my split screen. So now it won't rotate. Yep, quick and easy. On the dual screen mode, we talked about earlier, one of the changes for this year is the ability to change and choose what information is on these widget boxes. Okay. From the dual screen mode, all you have to do to change the information up here is press and hold anywhere on this bar. So I'm going to press and hold. Okay. Whoops, I didn't press and hold long enough. Here's my clicker. Press and hold. On the top, you can see the waterfall come down, and now it changes to edit or cancel. So if we press edit, this takes us and shows the dual screen layout at the top, single screen layout on the right-hand side. So you can pick and choose where the information is located and what information you are seeing. All right, so take, for example, markers. I don't use markers a lot, so I don't want to have those on my screen right now. So I'm going to select markers. And instead of having markers, I want to quickly look at cameras. So if I select cameras, it now changes to put cameras up here and cameras down here. Okay, so now I can go check. And now you can see my camera icon has changed in the upper left. Press my plant button one time in the upper right corner. It will toggle back to single screen mode. You'll notice the cameras are moved down here. Okay. So that's how you do it in dual screen mode to change the widgets. Again, you'll notice the pencil icon in the lower right corner here. If we press on the pencil, it takes us to the same layout. It's just different because we did it from single screen mode. So let's say instead of cameras here, I want my preset population, so I can quickly tap and change my population if I'm not using a prescription, for example. We put that in there instead, hit the checkbox in the upper right corner, and now you can see our preset populations down here. Of course, I'm using a prescription map, so again, it shows my rate zones down here in the bottom. So again, give you some flexibility to make some changes in the field.
Will north up save in training, or will I have to reset it when I hook up the planter?
When you hook up the planter, you will have to change it because anything we're doing in training mode has no effect on actual operation in the field. These two features are completely separate. So yep, once you get out of training mode, you can immediately go in and change it. You don't even have to be hooked to the planter. And then you'll be good. Then it will save for you. Yep. All right, let's talk about true depth settings, just kind of as a review. All right, and of course, we're on our ground contact map here. So we talked about setting it at 150 to start on medium. What I always do is set it to 150. I start driving through the field and watching my bar graph at the top and my ground contact percent up here. We want that again in the high 90s to 100 range. We never want it pegged on 100% all the time. Okay, just for the simple fact, if it's at 100 all the time, there's a chance that we could, getting to the point of putting too much downforce and creating some sidewall smear. We want it in the high 90s, 99, 100, 98 to 100, kind of bouncing in that range. If I start driving through the field in my medium mode and I'm in the low 90s, all right, or I'm starting to get alerts on the page for low ground contact, I'm going to come in here. And there's several different ways to get there. Kind of the quick and easy way, if you press on, again, your vacuums tab, it takes you right to our pressures tab, and you can see again we're set on medium 150. In this case, if my downforce is low and my average percentage is low, I'm going to come in here and increase my setting in 5 or 10 pounds at a time. Okay, I don't just want to jump right to high. The beauty of the Blue Vantage True Depth Control is you can do it in very small increments to truly dial it in. Okay, so we're going to do it, in my case, 10 pounds to get to 160. I'm going to come back, hit the checkbox, and then see what my bar graph looks like, and again, what my average ground contact looks like in that upper box. If we're in the high 90s now, that 99, 100, 98 to 100, I'm going to go out and ensure that my depth is correct. Just because we have good ground contact does not mean that the depth is correct, all right? Just because, again, there could be a mat of residue we're trying to plant over top, those type of things. So just because your ground contact is high doesn't mean your depth is correct. So go back, make sure your depth is where you want it to be. If it's not where you need it to be, maybe we need to adjust our depth, go through that same process, adjusting hydraulic downforce as well. Okay, so 5, 10-pound increments, see how it reacts, make sure your depth is where you want it to be, make depth adjustments, and then adjust your downforce setting later or second. Again, that will all depend on conditions, travel speed, residue attachments as well, how that downforce is going to operate. So just make sure it's not pegged at 100 all the time. And again, that mid-90s range, high 90s range is where you want it to be, not pegged at 100 all the time.
Will I have ground contact percentage feedback with just an air system?
So with pneumatic down pressure, you will not. It will be a set pressure. So for example, you would set it at 200 pounds of downforce, and then the system's going to adjust to always maintain 200 pounds. But there's no feedback, no ground contact page currently on pneumatic down pressure.
Is there a way to have headland boundaries so that we can plant headlands last?
So headland boundary feature right now today, no, it is not. That's actually a feature we're working on that'll be added here in the next year or so to be able to do that. And again, once you update software, you'll get that feature, but right now today, there is not. There's not. Okay, so we talked about downforce. We talked about changing products as well. One thing I want to do as, again, a reminder is setting section control and how our shutoff performance and gaps look. In order to change those settings, that lives under settings. We go into settings. We can see our planting start, planting stop selectors here. So we try to make this very easy to set in the field. We give you a picture, directional travel arrow. In this case, this is the planting start adjustment. So we're coming out of an already planted area. And of course, planting stop, we're coming in to the headland as a whole. In order to set this, 0, 0 is the default. Okay, so we're going to, of course, make our headland pass around the field. Come back, come out of the headlands. So for example, we're coming out of a previously planted area. So we're coming out of an already planted area. Of course, everything turns on. We go back, we look in the ground to see where that first seed is. And let's say, for example, that first seed is 6 inches too late, or there's a gap here. Measure that distance. We're going to come in here to planting start, and we want to move the seed to the left, closer to the already planted area. and we're going to set it to 6 inches. Okay. That's it. Tell us where you want to move the seed. We'll move it for you. Again, we compensate for all travel speed as well. So let's say you did this check and you were driving at 3 miles an hour. You get later in the season or the rain's coming or whatever it may be, and you're driving 9 and 10 miles an hour. We compensate for that. So your performance will never change in the field. Okay. So again, quick, easy, want to make it very simple. That's where the Blue Vantage comes into play. Okay.
On a system with a separate true depth display, does it communicate and show downforce data on the Blue Vantage?
So if it's a standalone display, no, it is purely only on that display. There is the ability to integrate it. There's basically a harness change that you can get rid of the integrated display and have everything like we just talked about integrated into Blue Vantage. So you can kind of upgrade to the integration part of Blue Vantage, but otherwise, no, the standalone system, truly standalone, and will be different than what we talked about here as a whole. No mapping on that guy.
And then Jake asks, does it save section control changes from last year?
Yep, it will save your settings from last year even after software update. Always tell guys, again, as a good double check is to always check your section control performance in that first field to make sure that it's still good. Nothing's changed, but yes, whatever you set it last year, those settings will still be in the display.
And I think you just confirmed this, but Brian does ask, when we updated our display with new updates, did it save our previous settings?
Yep, all your settings are changed. Nothing goes back to default during the software change. So yep, whatever you left it, that's where it's going to start this year. All right, so we talked about look ahead changes. If we go back to plant, talked about look ahead. We talked about changing products. Another thing I want to talk about on the run screen is jump start and prime. All right, and those functions down there. So if we go down to our demo box in the lower left-hand corner and we hit the little chevron icon, it of course brings up our training mode box. If we press the toolbar up, you can see that our prime button comes on. Okay, so again, none of our fans are running on the planner until you come into this page. Of course, once all our fans turn on, we of course want to hit the prime button. It'll turn the meters 1 1/4 revolutions. You'll have 3 to 7 seeds on the ground. And we do that by default to number 1, make sure that our seed sensor sees seed flow to let you know that all the meters are prime. So if it doesn't see seed on one of the rows or one of the fertilizer rows, if you're running fertilizer, it will say, hey, row 6 didn't prime, either seed or fertilizer, to let you know that something's awry. We need to check it out before we get running in the field. Okay, so that's prime. Another box that comes up instead of prime, and I'm going to do some changes on mine to kind of show you what that looks like. But if we come into the field, we are not moving, and we set the planter down, you can see that prime now turns into jump start. Okay, so when do I use jump start? I would tell you to only use jump start when there is no planted crop behind you. So you're backing into the corner, you're starting the field, you set the planter down. Right before you let off the clutch to start moving, you're going to press jump start, you're going to start driving, GPS speed takes over, jump start goes away. Okay, so we're driving through the field, we stop to check something, make an adjustment, wherever it may be. You can see jump start is active because the planter is down. Since we have planted crop behind you, I would tell you to pick the planter up, back up 7 or 8 feet, set the planter down, and then just simply take off and let section control do the adjustment for you. Okay, so it'll be a cleaner line. You don't have to worry so much about pressing jump start and all those other factors. Just back up, set it down, and let section control do the work for you. Okay, so jump start, no planted crop behind you. There's planted crop behind you, pick up, back up, set it down, and again, let section control do the work. So just wanted to talk about that setting as it'll come up on your screen when you start a new field. Trying to turn my GPS back on. There we go. Okay. Let's talk about moving to a new field. All right. So in order to change fields, down here in the lower right corner, we're going to press home. And it gives you three options. No, stay here, which is, again, I hit it by accident. Yes, select new task. And yes, go home. The difference between these two, okay, the yes, go home is going to shut all your fans off and take you all the way back to the home screen where we initially started today. Select new task keeps all of your fans running, your fertilizer primed, all those type of things. So if you're just crossing to another field that's right across the road, or you're just driving down the road a mile and you're starting a new field, really select yes, new task. It will take you right to the task setup page, all right, because this is the field we just planted. We're going to start a new field. We simply press add, set our parameters up. We're not going to use a boundary or prescription for this field, so we don't have to change anything. We're using the same product, same everything. Hit the check box or hit the plant button. And now we're right back into planting. We don't have to reprime or any of those functions because, again, nothing ever shut off. All the fans stayed running as a whole. Okay, so that's kind of the difference between the two. Again, just wanted to talk about those when you're starting a new field. How do you start a new field as well on the Blue Vantage display? If we go up to actions, right below plant in the upper right-hand corner. Of course, under actions, this is where you unfold and fold the planter. You can see on the left-hand side, if you have pneumatic closing wheels, this is where the pneumatic closing wheel adjustment lives. So if you go into closing wheels, for air adjust closing wheels, it takes you to this page. We try to make it very easy to know where to start. This picture with these basically 4 notches simulates, of course, the current mechanical closing wheel tail. All right, so you got your 4 notches for your closing wheel tail. So you have, again, notch 1, notch 2, notch 3, notch 4. So if, again, you don't want to know where to start, if you're consistently on notch 2, again, put your arrow next to notch 2. You, again, can see that's the medium setting. You can then adjust it, so we can go notch 2, notch 2.5, notch 3, notch 4, and then we get to the, by golly, it's going to close mode and go above notch 4. So pneumatic closing wheels, you actually get some higher closing wheel pressure than you would from mechanical springs. So just want to show you, those of you that have pneumatic closing wheels, where that lives on the screen. Since we're on actions, the other thing I want to show you, again, kind of the end of the season features is one, which is the flush feature. The flush feature allows you to manually turn on the planter, fertilizer, or insecticide, and it basically have the system run sitting still. So, you know, you want to clean out meters instead of dumping them all into a box or whatever it may be. You can utilize the flush function. The planter has to be up. You turn flush on, the system will sit there and run until you shut it off as a whole. So super handy, again, for cleaning out meters. Really nice for fertilizer, flushing it at the end of the season, cleaning it out, putting winterizer in it, all those type of factors. Flush is a nice feature to do that. The next one down, seed performance. Again, as we're starting to dig these planters out of the shed and get ready for spring, seed performance is really the built-in test stand mode in the display. So you have the ability to select how many rows you want to test, the population, how long the test is, the travel speed you want to simulate, and it will basically run the meter at these parameters and give you a report on how it was performing. You know, skips, doubles, accuracy, all those type of things, like you would if you were taking it to a dealership. Built-in test stand mode on the planter itself. So simply put a catch pan underneath it, run the meter. Obviously, you need some seed, and can see how those guys are performing before you head to the field. And so just want to highlight those couple features here on the Actions tab. If we go back to the dashboard, the one at the very top, something that was, again, introduced last year is the adjustment to the active weight transfer system. So we introduced active hydraulic weight transfer several years ago. And of course, we use the seed tank weight. And when, depending on how full the tank is, we increase the amount of weight transfer out to the wings. And you can see we have maximum, medium, and minimum. So basically the max amount of adjustability of the weight transfer system is here. Majority of the time, you will probably always leave it on the maximum setting. The wild card of when we would use medium or minimum, honestly, smaller frame machines, 12 rows, for example, or a planter that takes specifically the 5670 model, our new lift and pivot frame that was released a few years ago. If you have seed and fertilizer on it, you really don't need a whole lot of weight transfer on the wings because the fertilizer tank is out there. So you can lower how aggressive that weight transfer is through this setting. Again, majority of the time, probably you're going to leave it on maximum, but just want to make you aware of this change, again, that we added last year as well. Another option on the right-hand side, if we go to the Health button, in the center of Health, the big one I want you to be aware of is the Diagnostics button. If we press on Diagnostics, the one thing I want to show you is the Workflows tab over here in the upper left corner. If you go to Workflows, these are all troubleshooting guides that you can use in the field. Okay, if you have an issue, there might be a troubleshooting guide to help you in the field. Again, maybe help get you up and running quicker. So take, for example, if we stay towards the top, module communication, the third one down. We press on module communication. Inside that troubleshooting guide is what all the LEDs mean on the modules. Here's a couple pages of that. Note on connectors, show a picture of what the module looks like. Shows pictures of what the LED lights mean on the high-speed delivery tube. The high-speed motor controller. And then, again, tank level sensors as well for the liquid fertilizer tank. So a lot of things built in here. I just wanted to show you one quick example, and the information that's in there might help you in the spring if you run into a problem. Again, several things to look at and check that are built in here to maybe help get you running quicker. Okay, so just highlight that again. That's in Health. It's in the Health page under Diagnostics. We go back to Plant. One last thing before we go to the Manage tab at the end. Something, again, that was added under the vacuum and bulk fill setting. If you go under our Fans tab, you can see down here there is a fill seed feature under bulk fill. The function of this is to, again, you need to fill your bulk tanks, right? So if we hit fill seed, it comes up and says bulk fill is now disabled. So what that does is stop the fan. You can go back, open the lid, obviously fill the tanks, put the lids back on. And then when you come back in here, press done, and then the fan will turn back on. Really why we've changed it is if you turn the fan off on bulk fill, I'm as guilty as anybody. I go back, fill it, I forget to turn the fan back on for bulk seed. Now, if I use this fill seed feature, there's a big box up there on the screen that says, hey, the fan's off. Go fill, come back. You never forget to turn the bulk fan on. So that's what that fill seed feature is on the fans tab. So just wanted to highlight and touch on that. Again, something that's been added to, again, make it easier, prevent you from forgetting to turn the bulk tank on. Okay. Get our checkbox here in the upper right. Comes back to our main plant screen. We're going to go back to home. Again, you guys have questions on anything that we've talked through on the run screen, or anything you need to see again, or something you haven't seen that you want to know where it is, by all means, please feel free to type it in that chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. So we're going to go to the Manage tab at the end. We're going to come down here to Home. And in my case, we're going to press Yes, Go Home. And it's going to take us back to the main plant screen, or home screen. We're going to go into Manage in that lower center box. Going to click on Manage. It's going to come up here, and it's going to list, the first item is your tasks here. So again, in my case, I've only planted 2 fields this year. If you remember, we talked earlier, the feature about field scouting. In order to get to that location of field scouting, you simply need to go to the task that you want to view, or the one you're walking into. Come over here and press View. It will bring up your map, and then you will show up as this blue LED icon. All right? And this is you basically walking through the field. All right? So in this case, obviously it's simulating the tractor running in training mode. But when you go to view, it will come up and you will walk through the field. That blue icon will, of course, give you a reference point in the map of where you're walking. And you can certainly walk to the tablet itself. Okay? You can change the layer you want to view. So if I wanted to look at singulation, I can look at a singulation map and again walk to any location where there might be poor singulation to see maybe the ground was really rough there or something of that nature. So that's the field scouting location. When we hit the checkbox, it comes back. The other thing to talk about, again, if you want to enter your names earlier, under Manage, you again can plug it into the wall like we are today.
Do you mind going back to how we get to the Scout page?
Sure. So from Manage, again, let's go all the way back. Home. Go to Manage. Go to the field you want to view. So in my case, I'm going to select the first one on the list, and I'm going to press View. It comes to the view of the map, and here is your Scout page, basically. You are there, or will be, the blue icon on the screen. So you could, again, no different than how it is in the cab. You can zoom in, zoom out. Again, we got our little blue icon here. You can zoom in a little tighter, and again, walk to your spot on the field.
We have another question regarding true rate. What is the sweet spot speed for true rate?
Sweet, really, that meter will handle up to 8 miles an hour. I would tell you anywhere from that 5 to 7 is a good spot for it. Again, a lot of that, of course, will depend on your ground conditions, the downforce you're using. But yeah, anywhere from 5 to 7, in my opinion, is the sweet spot depending on conditions for that meter. So that one's been a rock star meter for us for a long time. If we go, I'm going to hit the checkbox to get out of this. And again, it takes me back to my task list. As we talked earlier, you want to add in grower, farm, field, or products ahead of time. You want to manually type those in Under the Manage tab, under Names, that's where you would do that. Again, very self-explanatory. Hit plus for the grower, add your name in, then you can do the farm, fields, etc. That's under Names. Products, of course, is your product names. So again, entering in your hybrids ahead of time. You can certainly do that. And then at the bottom is boundaries and prescriptions. So this is another location you can import boundaries and prescriptions. All right. So again, you can see the import is shaded out here, but when you insert a USB, that would of course become active. You would press import. It would bring all your boundaries or prescriptions in here. One note too, if you have old boundaries, so you're a current user of Blue Vantage and you want to get rid of, let's say, the prescription files from last year so you don't accidentally select one, you can simply filter that by coming down to the filter tab in the lower right. And we're going to filter by seed RX. Okay. We shuffle that away. And again, because training mode only has one prescription file, it just gives you the prescriptions, seed prescriptions. I'm going to hit select. Again, there's only one. And then I would hit delete. And it would delete all of your prescriptions from last year. Again, if you want to just clean up from last year, you're entering all new boundaries. Do the same thing. You can filter by boundary as well.
If we have a strip till custom done, can those boundaries be input to Blue Vantage for guidance?
So the Blue Vantage side is not involved in guidance at all. So we can certainly use the boundaries that you have or that guy used for the strip till application. But from a boundary line standpoint, that would be solely handled by whatever guidance system you would be using. Yep. So we would only use boundaries or prescriptions, not so much guidance lines. That would all be handled by whatever guidance system you're using as a whole. Yep. So again, just wanted to show that filter in the boundary and prescription part. Okay. Go back to tasks. Again, if you want to clean up last year's data, again, since I only have model year 26 in here, or 26 planting, it just has a 26. If I had 25 season information in here, there would be a title box above the 25 planting season. You could go next to that, model year 25, select all those old fields, hit delete, and it would delete all of your old data from the previous year. Okay, so again, if you're doing some cleanup, that's the easy way to do it on the task page or under manage. We'll go back to home and we're right back where we started. Okay. So kind of a summary. Went all the way through some integration, some Blue Connect changes, those type of things. So if some of you guys are typing questions, by all means, keep typing. We'll be sure to answer those before we go off. Again, something else we didn't talk about, you guys have a question on, again, type that in as well. Be more than happy to help answer that question as well. Again, some other highlights, Blue Vantage, the biggest ones. Again, the replant feature, that's a big one. That's been obviously a big hit over the last 2 years. The other item is, again, the ability to change the widgets on the screen. So you can really customize the layout of your screen, put what's important to you, and then again, quickly change it. So again, we talked about utilizing the markers earlier and then not using the markers later. Again, walking through that quick change on the screen to really provide you some more customized viewing options when it comes to the Blue Vantage display. So
we have some questions coming in.
Okay.
Can you please show where to ignore boundaries again?
Ignore boundaries?
Yeah, where to ignore boundaries.
Okay. So let's go back in. We're going to get my clicker. We're going to make another or a new field. So we're going to have to go back into, plant. I'm going to make a new field. I'm going to come into my boundary selection, and we're just going to load a boundary. I'm just going to select boundary. Back over here to my checkbox. Yep. Hit my plant button. We start planting. Okay. So under the shutoffs tab at the top, if you press on shutoffs, this is where your boundary file ignore is right here. This is one location. Okay. So it always lives here in shutoffs. Hit ignore. You'll notice now dash lines. If I zoom out so you can see the Kinze a little better, you can see the Kinze is now dashed as well. So it shows you where the boundary is, but it's not going to use it. All right. So when we come in here to the Kinze, as just we see them planting through, you can see it continues to plant. We come up here and click use. Up. It immediately starts using it. Okay. So that is one location to use it. To get a little bit deeper on where you could put it to be even quicker than the shutoffs tab, we shrink this up. Remember, we can change the widgets on the right-hand side or the top of split screen, wherever you want it to be. Come down to the pencil icon. We're going to press on this guy. You can see right here where it says boundary, right? So let's say instead of presets, and again, you can choose whatever box. Let's choose a different box. Let's put it over here. Row detail, don't care. I want my boundary selector here. Now you can see you have ignore and use real quick. Checkbox. Now I can turn it on and off without ever going to the shutoffs tab as well. So you actually have a little bit of flexibility. You can pick and choose where you want it to be. Okay. So
Mike asks, was this webinar recorded so I can watch again? I'll answer this one. Yes, Mike, it is recorded, and we'll have it on YouTube in the next day or two. Jake asks, all right, to leave last year's varieties and prescriptions, since it separates by year, or will new prescriptions get confused with old?
So if we go back to our Manage tab, so let me go back to Home, go into Manage. So the only thing that will be segregated or separated by year is your tasks here. When you go to boundaries and prescriptions, there is no model or no planting season year differential in the selection of prescriptions. So you can add more prescriptions. It's not going to confuse anything because you are selecting which one you want to use. So you don't have to change it if you don't want to. It's just your list of prescriptions, of course, will get bigger in the pool because we won't separate them by year in the listing there. Varieties, same way. Again, if I go to products, it's just going to have all of them in there. So if you keep adding to them, that's fine, but we won't separate them by year on the list. We only do that in the task side of things, which of course is the actual planting data for it. So, yep, a little different. A little different. Yep.
Jake says, got it. Thanks. And our next question is from Carrie on 5900. Where do we need to run PTO speed?
Sure. So any PTO on any 5000 series model, so this is, 5670, 59, 5700, I'll tell you anywhere between that 750 to 850 PTO RPM is God's plenty speed. Okay. The pump, again, will compensate for different tractor RPM. So you don't have to run it at 1000. Again, most tractors, you're in that 1700 RPM to get around that 750 to 850 PTO RPM. If you run it too slow, we will alert you. If it's on the other end, I realize there's a lot of eco modes out there and those type of things for certain tractors for fuel efficiency to maybe slow that PTO down or slow the RPMs down. Again, vice versa, you can have it be where the PTO speed is set and the tractor does everything else to again, keep the RPMs low, but the PTO speed up. But yeah, 750 to 850 is plenty. If you have to run it faster, that's fine. It doesn't hurt it. It can run at 1,000. Again, we have a lot of guys that maybe need the extra tractor RPM for power, you know, when we get into some tough conditions. So that's perfectly fine, but by no means does it have to be maxed out at all for good operation and performance. So no problem.
Harry says, thank you. Question from Todd. Any way to easily adjust population on the go without prescriptions? Example, sandy strip through field that needs a lower population.
Sure. Yep. You can certainly do that. And again, kind of goes back to that adjusting widgets. So let's go back and we'll walk through that. So if we go, we're going to go back to home again. And I'm going to go back to plant. I'm going to select the field I was already in because I don't have a prescription here. Yep. And I'm going to go, so a couple things to think about. So we're going to go to population at the bottom. And again, these are your presets. You can change these once you get into the field as well or into the plant screen, but just highlight, hey, this is where we can set our presets. So let's take your example, and we're really going to save seed, and we want one of the presets to be 12,000. So I'm going to hit press and hold. One of my presets is 12,000. I got 34 and then 37.4. I'm going to hit 34. That's going to be my start point. All right. Hit my checkbox. I'm going to go plant. And now we're off and running. You see down here in this lower right-hand corner, I already changed to put the population presets as one of my widgets. That does not factory start that way. All right, so let's walk through it again. Widget selection, single screen mode is one spot you can do it by pressing the pencil icon. Select the location you want that feature to be. So by default, I'll show you what it looks like by default, just again as a reminder. Change this all the way back to this. This is detail. So this is what it looks like factory. Okay, right out of the box. So if we want a quick tap to change and quickly change our population, like you're asking about, what I would do is choose one of these boxes that you want that to be in. So for example, I'm choosing markers. Okay. I don't want markers there. I want my preset populations to be there. Press this. It's going to move it in this spot, checkbox. So now I'm planting 34,000. I'm coming up to that sand knoll. I'm going to press on 12,000. Your population has changed to 12,000. Okay, so we can put it in here. The other way to get to that point without having the quick adjustment, you have to press on the box, hit your pencil next to population and singulation, click it, check. Now it's changed. So obviously a few more steps to get there, but show you two ways to do that on the go. Part of the reason why we added preset populations into the widget, so you have this quick tap here to go back and forth. Yep, and as soon as you click it, population's changed. So, yep. Okay. All right. Well, guys, again, thanks for tuning in today. And again, if you're typing questions, by all means, continue typing them. We'll hang on here for a minute or so to help answer those. If you guys have, again, any other questions as a whole. As Zach mentioned, this whole presentation today is recorded and will be put on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of other specific YouTube videos on Blue Vantage. For example, we talked about Blue Connect a little bit. I'm going to just show a couple screens on that just to get you guys familiar with where that is. But there's specific videos on YouTube to sync your John Deere Operations Center account or Agfinity. The nice part about the account setup is the configuration piece is the same no matter who you're connecting to. All right, so it's very easy, very straightforward. There's not a lot of steps to it, but there's videos to kind of walk you through that scenario. Okay, so as we're talking about Blue Connect, I'm going to get out of training mode because we can't see Blue Connect features in training mode. So I just want to walk through, show you where Blue Connect is, talk about the screen share feature from a service standpoint as well. So if we go back to the display, we're going to get out of training mode. And again, I'm obviously planting, so I'm going to go home. I'm going to click yes, go home. And then I'm going to go back to settings. I'm going to go into training mode. And I'm going to simply turn training mode off. Okay, so it comes back to, again, our bare screen. Okay, so 99% of the time, this is what yours is going to look like. Okay, so get into Blue Connect. Again, we go back to settings. Blue Connect lives down here in the lower left corner. We go into Blue Connect. This is where you would select the Wi-Fi you're attaching to. This is where you would connect to your account. Okay, so if we go to configure, right, this is where you can, again, simply create one as well. You can see I'm not connected to Wi-Fi right now, but you can go in and create an account right from this page. It's very simple, very easy. Again, clear the data if you're getting rid of it. Once you sign in, email and password, I'm going to go back. It would show you your account name up here. This map sync feature, this map sync switcher, if you are moving data, meaning you want to send it to the cloud, send it to Agfinity, JD Ops Center, download the data from uploading the prescriptions, all those type of things, you need map sync turned on for that feature. Okay. If you're not doing any of that data transfer fees, maybe you're just signed in to the account to use the screen share feature from a software or from a support standpoint, you don't need map sync on. Screen share would be a bold icon. You press screen share, whoever's on the other end wanting to look at your tablet, you simply give them the 6-digit code and they will be able to start to see your screen. Okay, so just want to highlight the difference in when map sync would need to be on versus not. So if you're not transferring data, you don't need to turn map sync on. All right. Another wild card is a training yesterday. A guy asked, well, if I turn map sync on, even if I'm not sending data to one of those cloud systems, you know, JD Ops or Agfinity, if I utilize map sync, is my data still stored in the cloud? And the answer is yes. If something would ever happen to your tablet and you needed a new tablet, or you had to send it away to get repaired, whatever it may be, and you got a new tablet, when you sign in to your Blue Connect account, we will automatically sync all of that data from the cloud onto your new tablet. Okay, so kind of a secondary backup for your log data as well. So again, just wanted to touch on that page to let you guys know where it is, what it looks like. Again, differences between map sync and screen share as well.
We have a question from Dan.
Sure.
After updating to model year 2026, it looks like firmware needs to be updated as a separate step. Guessing that's straightforward with a Wi-Fi connection.
So, Dan, my guess is if you probably have an exclamation point or a 1 next to your settings tab on the tablet, is what I'm guessing. If that is, that's fine. Go into settings. Okay, he says correct. So to do that, go into settings. Again, Dan, this is specific to yours or anybody else that might run into it. Really what we're doing is updating kind of the under the hood Dell piece of it. All right. So what you will have is you'll have a red. Oops, let me get my thing back here. You'll have a red next to settings. So you need to go into settings. You don't need to be connected to Wi-Fi at all. Just go into settings, scroll all the way down to the bottom of this tab and press About. On this box, there'll be a firmware update button. Just press on that firmware update. It'll take 3 or 4 minutes to do it. The system will reboot, all those type of things. That's all perfectly normal. Just press on it, let it do its thing, and you're ready to rock and roll. And that's it. So it's just updating again. It's kind of some Dell specific stuff under the hood is what it's doing. So not everybody will see that. Again, if you guys run into that as you're doing the model year 26 update, perfectly normal. Just follow the steps and ready to go. Ready to go. All good? All the questions? Okay. Again, thank you very much for joining us this morning to talk about Blue Vantage. Hope you guys feel more confident and comfortable, both heck, as we get into the spring season. I hope you guys have a great spring. As always, you have any questions, by all means, reach out to us. Be more than happy to help. Utilize those YouTube videos. I realize we threw a lot at you here in the last hour and 45 minutes to remember. So a lot of those resources will be available. This one specific will be available on the web as well. We appreciate you being Kinze customers. So above and beyond, we thank you for choosing Kinze as your planner of choice. And we hope you guys have a great spring. Thanks a lot. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.